Earlier this year, PlayStation released a bulk of highly anticipated PS4 exclusives. Persona 5 finally received its worldwide release to great critical and financial success, along with Team Ninja's Dark Souls-inspired Nioh and Guerrilla Games' robo-creature spectacle Horizon Zero Dawn, both of which received financial and critical success as well. 2017 certainly offered a great start for PlayStation fans, given the fact that Persona 5, Nioh and Horizon are not only all fantastic games in their own right, but are also so incredibly different from each other. This year is following a trend Sony established since the beginning of the current console generation. For a long time, companies like Microsoft and Sony would position their top-tier exclusives in the lucrative winter season of each year. October and November always were fancied months for the video game industry's big hitters, including AAA exclusives. However, this is not the case for the PS4. In 2015, all major PS4 exclusives were released at the beginning of the year. The Order 1886 was released in February, and one of PlayStation's most prestigious titles in the form of Bloodborne saw the light of day in March. The only other noteworthy exclusive was Supermassive's Until Dawn in August. The holiday slot, on the other hand, was lacking a significant exclusive. Last year barely altered this picture. The Ratchet & Clank remake by Insomniac was released in April and became a surprise hit for many. Sony's flagship title Uncharted 4: A Thief's End finally, after several delays, conquered the hearts of die-hard PlayStation fans to tremendous sales numbers and universal praise. Once again, the most important PS4 exclusive was released in spring. After a 10-year waiting period, we also got our hands on Fumito Ueda's artistic endeavor, that is, The Last Guardian. Despite its technical missteps, I adored the game and admired the unique nature every Team Ico game inherits. While it most definitely can be regarded as a long-anticipated and meaningful game for PlayStation owners, it would be misleading to talk of profitable sales numbers considering the troubled development history and small niche of gamers it serves. Sony didn't have any mentionable AAA exclusives that could fill the holiday slot. At this point in time, they certainly do. Sony announced one massive PS4 exclusive after the next. However, the past years have proven that PlayStation did just fine without exclusives during the Christmas months due to stellar and constant sales numbers, but also because winter is chock full of video game behemoths like Call of Duty, Destiny, Battlefield, Battlefront and Assassin's Creed. In fact, the holiday spot is so crowded by now that months like February and March have become somewhat of reservoirs for all the AAA titles that didn't fit into the overstuffed fall and winter season. At this point, companies like Sony have to ask the question if they would gain anything from releasing games like Uncharted 4 and God of War the old-fashioned way. Why not purposefully reserve such games for the beginning of the year and a time where most of us have finished the onslaught of games released in October and November? It certainly didn't hurt Uncharted 4, which currently stretches its fingers to grab the 10 million copies sold margin, which leads us back to 2017. There are still a few important PS4 exclusives to come, most notably the imminent Uncharted The Lost Legacy, Gran Turismo Sport, Horizon The Frozen Wilds, and above all else, Knack 2. No, in all seriousness, Knack 2 actually looks like a fun, enjoyable game. I have nothing against it. I think it's fair to say that 2017 was and is still going to be one of the better years in regards to PlayStation exclusives. By and large, this year contains more AAA exclusive titles than all the years before. But we haven't entered the heyday yet. After years of missing exclusive titles, Sony is finally able to use its big guns. Whether it was planned or not, it surely wasn't, Sony's landslide of long-anticipated and high-caliber exclusives will be released within a fairly short time span, indicating that the best years of the PS4 era are still ahead of us. Obviously, Sony hasn't made official statements regarding the release window of the PS5. All they did confirm is the simple fact that a PlayStation 5 is indeed in the works. No one knows for sure when the PS5 will hit the market, but this doesn't mean we can't make a good guess. Recently, a famous analyst of some sort predicted a potential PS5 launch as soon as 2018. While nothing is impossible, I nonetheless think a PS5 release in holiday 2018 is highly unlikely. The PlayStation 4 continues to sell like sliced bread, and the Xbox One X definitely won't turn the tide for Microsoft. To put it bluntly, Sony doesn't have anything to fear from its competitor. The PS4 is outselling the Xbox One 2-1 worldwide, and given the vast amount of exclusive titles scheduled for the coming years, this isn't going to change anytime soon. If Microsoft's console would pose a serious threat to Sony's dominant position in the console market, a PS5 launch in 2018 would be much more tangible. Having said this, as of right now, I agree with Michael Pachter's notion of a 2019 launch. The longevity of the last console generation was out of the ordinary, which must have been connected to the financial crisis. If the PS5 launches in November 2019, the PS4 lasted for exactly 6 years. So, for the sake of my argument, let's assume this is indeed the case. How will the next 2.5 years play out in terms of Sony's exclusive portfolio? One thing is certain, we will have plenty to choose from. Within 2 years we will witness the release of God of War, Days Gone, Insomniac Spider-Man, Detroit Become Human, The Shadow of the Colossus remake, Death Stranding, The Last of Us Part 2, and the new Sucker Punch IP, which stunningly enough wasn't revealed at Sony's E3 press conference. Many, including myself, regarded the reveal as a safe bet. These are the games we know about. In order to answer the question which year will be regarded as the best year for PS4 owners, we first have to predict when they are going to be released. We know for sure that God of War will be released in early 2018, probably in March. Even if Santa Monica can't hit the date and delays the game for a couple of months, Kratos will tear off limbs next year with 100% certainty. We also have a rough release window for The Shadow of the Colossus remake, namely 2018. Judging by the footage, Bluepoint Games means serious business and goes all in on delivering a completely overhauled version of Team Ico's classic. It certainly is an impressive remake which must demand a lot of hard work, but it is a remake after all. So I'd argue Shadow of the Colossus is a given for 2018 as well. Probably fall 2018. All the other games are lacking an official release date. However, developers like Insomniac and Quantic Dream revealed the intended or assumed release window for their games. A recent interview with Sony America's CEO Sean Layden gives reason to believe that Spider-Man not only is expected to release in 2018, but during the first half of 2018. Personally, I'm skeptical. Maybe this prognosis is a little bit too optimistic. If Sean Layden leaves open the possibility for a release in the first half of 2018, one could argue that even a beefy delay won't push Insomniac Spider-Man into 2019. Quantic Dream's Blade Runner-esque Android Revolution Detroit Become Human is also releasing sometime next year, according to David Cage. Last but not least, despite the fact that Days Gone still hasn't received a release window, 2018 seems reasonable. This game has been in development forever, and I think it's in everybody's best interest to enlarge the space between Days Gone and The Last of Us 2 as much as possible due to their similarity in subject matter. That said, we shouldn't forget that Sony Bend's studio size is relatively small compared to most other Sony first-party studios, so a fall 2018 release window makes sense. As far as I'm concerned, God of War, Days Gone, Spider-Man, Detroit Become Human and Shadow of the Colossus are safe bets for 2018. This leaves Death Stranding, The Last of Us Part 2 and the new Sucker Punch game. There are a couple of reasons that led me to believe neither of these games is going to be released in 2018. Let's start with the obvious. Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding is still ways off, considering the fact that only at the end of last year, so about 8 months ago, Kojima Productions confirmed that they finally decided which engine they are going to use. I'm still confident Death Stranding won't turn into a PS5 game, but it would also be preposterous to say anything but a fall 2019 release seems likely. I also think everyone who is actually hoping to see The Last of Us near the end of next year should be prepared for disappointment. In July, Naughty Dog announced that Uncharted: The Lost Legacy has gone gold. That means only now the full development team can begin their work on The Last of Us. If Uncharted 4 is any indication, in order to guarantee the quality standard Naughty Dog is known for, a fully polished The Last of Us Part 2 probably isn't going to enter its final production phase until early 2019. A March or even July 2019 release date sounds reasonable in my mind. Obviously, I'd love to be absolutely wrong. The Last of Us is one of my favorite games of all time. A fall 2018 release would be amazing, of course, I just don't see it. The new Sucker Punch game is the biggest question mark. Infamous First Light came out a while ago, so whatever Sucker Punch is working on must have been in development for quite some time. I'm hoping that Sucker Punch is following the same path as Guerrilla Games by creating a completely new IP that drastically differs from the series they are known for. Not that I have anything against Infamous, but I'm craving to see something entirely new from them. I never was a massive Killzone fan, but with Horizon, Guerrilla Games created a franchise I can get lost in. I feel the same way about Infamous. Clearly, the Infamous games are of a high caliber, they just never really spoke to me. A new IP could make Sucker Punch to a much more relevant developer for me personally, depending on the genre they are choosing. While I'm confident that The Last of Us and Death Stranding are 2019 games, we just don't know enough about the new Sucker Punch game to make a good prediction. Could the Sucker Punch game be released in 2018? Sure, it's not impossible. For now, I go with my gut feeling and place it in 2019. That's about it. Technically, I could also include Media Molecule's Dreams and Capcom's Deep Down. I decided against it though. We haven't heard anything substantial of both games for years. Officially, Deep Down and Dreams are still alive, but currently it's not looking too good. So to come back to the title of this video, will 2018 be the best year for PlayStation 4 owners? 2017 featured quite a number of fantastic exclusives already, and a few are still to come, but in the light of 4 long-awaited PlayStation exclusives by respected developers and Bluepoint's Shadow of the Colossus remake as the cherry on top, I don't see a scenario in which 2017 beats next year. 2014 as the lackluster warm-up year is out of the question, and 2015 and 16 simply didn't feature the same quantity of high-quality exclusives 2018 is promising. The way I see it, there's only one worthy challenger: 2019, the supposedly last year of the PS4. It's so difficult to decide. Death Stranding and The Last of Us are just so hyped up and so incredibly important for the hardcore PlayStation community. With all due respect, I just don't see how Days Gone or Detroit match the anticipation level of something like the new Hideo Kojima game or The Last of Us. Don't get me wrong, Days Gone and Detroit look fucking awesome, and I can't wait to get my hands on them. God of War and Spider-Man are a whole other story though. God of War offers the return to one of PlayStation's most prominent franchises, and Spider-Man as a brand, paired with Insomniac's name attached to the project, is a recipe for success. In my opinion, it's quite a predicament, far from any easy decision. The tide could still turn for the benefit of one year or the other once new exclusives get announced. As of right now, I can't pick a clear winner. I couldn't wish for a better predicament, to be honest. One thing is for certain, PS4 owners don't have to fear a lack of incredible first-party exclusives throughout the coming years. I can't wait to hear about your most anticipated PlayStation exclusive. Is it a predicament for you guys as well, or crystal clear? Am I the only one who struggles to make out a winner, or do you feel the same? Just let me know. For now, thank you a lot for watching.